everything from game development to business talk, as Cam said, to gaming and industry news, perhaps. And then with me specifically, we'll get into things like creative thinking and storytelling.
All right, welcome to the first ever Nebulos Entertainment podcast. It's me, Cam Smith, and Eric Lund. Eric, thanks for joining our own podcast.
Of course.
Okay, man. Yeah, it's great to have you here. So we're just going to talk a little bit about what we're doing with this podcast, what we're going to continue to do with it down the future, and what's been going on with Nebulos, because there has been a lot, especially this being our first ever episode. Yeah, there's been a lot to cover over the last 3 years. We're not going to cover it all in this short episode, but we will definitely get to it eventually. So, this podcast aims to do a few things. We want to provide updates on our game, our company, our team, potential opportunities to work with us, because we do have a lot of those, including currently right now while you are viewing and or listening to this episode. We want to give insight as to how we started our business, how we're currently running our business, and what you can do as a potential indie dev or just anybody that wants to get into indie development to basically start a company with like no background experience and very little money, because we did it. We're living proof right here, and we've been pumping along for a few years now. So we're going to cover all of this. We want to get into, multiple aspects of basically how to build a game. And this is going to range from everything Eric does on the art side, from 2D, 2.5D, 3D, from in-game to out-of-game on pen and paper, to what our back-end team does with more of the actual coding side of things. And then we also have Jeremy, who has been working on the UI. He did the UI for Stormwood Sales, and he will continue to do a lot of the UI as we continue to move forward with Eric. When you run a company like this, there's multiple hats that everybody's got to wear. So we will talk a lot about this. There's going to be much more to come in the future. So Eric, would you like to talk a little bit more about what we plan to include in our short formats and in our long formats?
Sure. So I'm thinking that you're going to hear mostly in the short formats, just little localized topics, everything from game development to business talk, as Cam said, to gaming and industry news, perhaps. And then with me specifically, we'll get into things like creative thinking and storytelling and how to develop characters. And in the longer format, we want to take on all sorts of different topics, like our take on certain games we grew up on, movies we grew up on, those kind of things. So that's where I see some of the content coming from.
For sure. While we aim for this to be a very informative podcast, from what we've learned from 6 members that have no prior experience in the gaming industry, we also want it to be entertaining, and we want to provide a lot of value, but we also want to be entertaining, to sum it up. So I think that we're going to be doing a good job with that, just because I've seen what this team can accomplish. I know that the sky's the limit with what we plan to do here. And yeah, I mean, we can end this podcast here. So there's going to be a lot more to come. And for people that see this, that listen to it, we will be starting a Patreon. We actually have just started our Patreon, and that's going to be early access. One of the tiers is early access to these videos and these podcasts. So you will get firsthand at these episodes. Plus, for some of the business ones, we will make more exclusive, and probably some of the art ones as well. We're going to make more exclusive to just our patrons as well. We want to provide them a lot of value, and we don't make it super expensive to get this information. $1 tier, $5 tier, $10 tier. In the $10 tier includes actual workshops. So when it comes to business, when it comes to the creative side, when it comes to the back end side of things and development in general, we are going to be having video workshops that will dive more in depth, other than just what we are providing here on the podcast in the form of just informational. So a lot more good stuff to come, but we hope that you found value in this podcast. We hope that you are excited basically to learn how to become an indie dev and to take the right steps when it comes to your business. And, if you have topics that you would like to see right out of the gate, Eric and I are more than happy to entertain the thought and to carry out the topics that you wish to hear. So please feel free to share this with your friends and family. You know, if you want to reach us, you can do so on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, Twitter at Nebulos_ENT. And yeah, if you want to sign up for the newsletter, you can go to nebulosentertainment.com. We're looking forward to this. I think it'll be a good time.
Yeah, for sure.